Greenwood. Still Will Greenwood. Great run from Greenwood. Little Jimmy. He's back.
Wowza. South Africa 17, British and Irish Lions 22, 12-3 at half-time, and then the greatest comeback since the 30s. I think saw the Lions pinch, you can probably put it like pinch the first test in Cape Town. The series is up and running, led by the invincible Alan Wynne-Jones. The Lions are one test win away from joining a very small select group of legends who have won a series in South Africa, won any sort of series really when it comes to the British and Irish Lions. And joining me today on the podcast is a man who seems very comfortable in red, although his national jersey is green. He's won titles with the Scarlets. He stars for Munster these days, and he's hugely impressed for the Lions in South Africa so far. Made his Lions test debut on the bench on Saturday. Came over, won a line-out within 35 seconds of being on the field. He's a turnover machine. He carries like a train. He's one of the most versatile forwards in Warren Gatland's squad. He is, of course, Tyburn. Well, I'm a massive fan. I've obviously been watching you for ages. I mean, we'll go back to you and your rugby journey, which is a fascinating one. I love the old school ones who've had to do it tough and not quite first name on everyone's team sheet from the age of 15. And I find they create much more rounded players, more mentally strong players. But actually, clearly the news 48 hours after winning the first test varies. The sort of questions I'd ask is what was said at half time. You're watching your pitch side, watching the first unfold. You're thinking, oh my God, what's happening here? So it's basically a blank sheet of paper to go. Tell me about the day. Tell me about receiving your shirt from Jason Leonard. Take me through the sort of a 24-hour period from Friday evening to finding yourself in an ice bath Saturday night.
Yeah, well, I think on the Friday we decided for the first time we decided to go up and actually do the team run in the Cape Town Stadium. So we hadn't been doing that previously. So that was the first time. So we were up a bit earlier than usual to Cape Town. So we got lunch, did the team run, and then came back, got to chill for a bit before we had that jersey presentation.
And in terms of the team run, you sometimes see some coaches go, it's kicking off at 6 o'clock, body clocks, we need to be doing it at 6 o'clock, or is this Gatland much more chilled, just middle of the afternoon?
Much more chilled than that, in fairness. We decided to do the pitch there because our training pitch had been a bit waterlogged from the storm. Yeah. So that's why we decided to go to the stadium instead. And I think we probably would have done it earlier in the morning, but because it's an hour and a half from where we're staying into Cape Town, we got to the hotel and we obviously had to eat and that kind of stuff before we actually went for the team run. So we had a good bit of time, in fairness.
So logistically, am I right in thinking therefore you then went back an hour and a half, or you moved to a hotel that's close?
We moved to a hotel. Yeah. We stay in a hotel in Cape Town the night before each game, which is only like 10-15 minutes from the actual stadium, so it's pretty handy.
You stay close to the golf course?
Not during the week we do, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Then shirt presentation. In the old days when COVID was free, I remember in 2001, William John McBride came in before the first test. You get sort of a special speaker. Did you have anything with any videos sent in?
Not from, well, I suppose in terms of people special, it's probably special as in family. I think that was a surprise for everyone was when we walked in for the jersey presentation. There was a big screen up in the corner with everyone's family having logged into a Zoom to actually watch the jersey presentation, and then unbeknownst to ourselves, everyone who was playing, all the families had kind of put together a short video clip of words of encouragement and so forth. So Jason didn't actually have to say too much. He just said, leave it here, and then it went through each player, and each player had a clip, and then thereafter he presented everyone with their jersey.
Wow, so, that's amazing. It's always my favourite bit in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, when they pull on the tear strings, isn't it? When halfway through the show, when they're all getting a bit hangry, starting to think, and the note comes, they win a note from home. I mean, you guys are used to touring, but I can imagine that must have been a touching moment.
Yeah, I think for sure, especially for guys with kids. You know, we're week 6 of 8 for a lot of us, where we haven't seen our families, and usually you'd have them at the games, or you could meet up with them on a down day for an hour or two. So it's probably the longest a lot of boys have probably gone without actually being able to see their families. And I think a few of them obviously got it was an emotional kind of moment for a lot of boys in there. It was pretty special to get those words of encouragement from family, that's for sure.
And then from there, it was just Leonard handing the shirts out, team soccer. I've been on a lot of tours in the old days, and we always used to, there was one crowd would nip off and sit and have coffee, another crowd would bail straight to their room and chill, and others we'd play a game in the team room, a sort of name game, a word game. Is it still like that? Do different groups do different things after the meeting? Just give us a picture of what your preferred route is.
I'm pretty relaxed in general, so I'll do whatever. I think that night I had a game of cards with a few lads, and I had treatment. Other boys go straight to their room, and then a big kind of tradition, especially in Ireland and for the past good few tours and with the Lions anyway, would be most lads go up to the Kitman's room here, Rala's room. And he has the Irish tea bags, Barry's tea ready for everyone, and everyone brews himself a cup of tea, and he'll have a chocolate bar or something there to have with a cup of tea, and everyone just sits around, has a chat, cleans their boots, changes studs, get any of that stuff done. And
not necessarily nerves, but it's good to be around other people, realising that. Are you someone? I mean, you've probably just answered the question saying you're pretty relaxed. I know a lot of epic people who people think are just fearless, who literally couldn't eat the night before games. Martin Johnson would push food around his plate, feeling physically sick. Please tell me, in this age of sports science, there are still those who are, wanting to be around people and. Oh
yeah, big time. I think that's probably, especially in this moment with COVID, I think we need to have that as well, because it's the only. Everyone kind of gathers around and kind of enjoys each other's company as much as you can, because we all have our own rooms pure with COVID. So once you lock yourself away in the room, you're on your own. So lads don't want to go back to the room until it's actually necessary, because they want to have that human contact, have the chats, and kind of keep their mind off the game. For a lot of lads, we
love all this detail. I know we're going to talk a bit more about your journey, but I love it. When does Alan Wynne speak last? And has there only been any speeches where someone's got it slightly wrong and it's just descended into carnage, but actually it wasn't meant to? I mean, the night before we always laugh, the night before the second test in 2005, Gareth Thomas, he'll hate me for saying this, and I'll remove the swear word. He said, "Fellas, 2 words for tomorrow, 2 words." And he walked around the room, and it was like a scene from Goodfellas. Oh man, he's got us eating us out of the palm of his hand. 2 words. We got to the front. 2 words, fellas, just 2 words. Don't bloody panic. And it was like, and he said it wasn't bloody, he used a swear word, and it was just, the room was carnage, and that's all we ever remember. And it's just one of those moments. So look, they probably didn't happen, but what in amongst obviously the seriousness of the 24 hours, and we'll get to game day now, was there anything at a time you just thought, that's quite funny, or that's I wouldn't have expected to see that there?
Not from the top of my head, really. Everything's kind of, for us anyway, gone to plan, thankfully. I don't think we've had any blunders like that in terms of speeches or anything. Warren speaks in the team room before we leave, and Alan Wynne kind of says a few words. He said a few words after the jersey presentation, and obviously we'll say a few words more at the ground. But other than that, there's a few lads who'll speak up. All right, there's a lot of leaders within our group, so you have a lot of those lads. But thankfully, there's been no blunders as of yet.
No. And then on the morning, was it line-outs in a car park?
Line-outs before the pre-match meal. Yeah, it's very chilled again. Morning, it's kind of late breakfast until about 11 o'clock. So up to you when you go, and then chill time till lunch. Then more chill time till we have a little team meeting or team walkthrough out in the car park.
Still in the car park, right? Teams like we can have NASA, we can have budgets to send people to the moon, but we still do stuff in a car park, right?
Rather that than getting the bus for 10 minutes just to go to the pitch for a walkthrough.
Some of those Nissan Micras, they're nifty little defenders, man. They top you low, they'll have you. That's amazing. I love to hear, because there's that sort of, we totally realise as older players and a lot of people who listen to the podcast, my demographic of listeners is a bit older. We sort of love the fact that there are some little bits that have survived into from the Corinthian age into the modern sports science age. So then you're at the stadium and it's really regimented. How does your routine fit into the Lions routine? No real difference.
No, they're very accommodating. In fairness, they have their. In fairness, it's probably we get to the stadium and we've a lot less time than I would have been used to in terms of playing with Munster or Ireland. We generally get there probably an hour and 10, hour 15 at least before kickoff. And whereas with Lions, it's probably a bit shorter, maybe 15, 20 minutes shorter. So. Just gonna get ready, I have a bit of strapping to get done, and then get changed. As I said, I'm relaxed. I probably play a game or something on my phone just to kill a bit of time.
Are you Bose Selector headphones? Are you?
No, I don't listen to anything.
No, I never listen. I couldn't listen to you. I like to know what was going on.
Yeah, so you kind of just have your wits about you, and everyone's doing their own thing, and then I generally go out to the field kind of last minute, and then just get stuck into it from there. Do a quick warm up, and
so everything was going bob on according to plan until 6 p.m. until about sort of 6:04, and then suddenly a couple of penalties, and we found ourselves behind. So, what was the mood like pitch side? I mean, you're right there, and it's not slipping away. You can't really lose a game in the first half, as was proved, but you can give yourself a bloody big hill to climb.
Yeah. I think that's probably, we had spoken all week about discipline, and, I think in the first half, I'm not too sure, I think we might have given away six penalties. And I think we only gave away 3 in the second half. And I think we had spoken all week, and then the first 10 minutes obviously didn't go to plan. We started giving away penalties and letting them into the game. But the main thing was not to panic. We knew that can happen, and we obviously knew they were going to be incredibly physical, which they were, especially in that first half. And I thought we started to match it kind of as the half went on, and we kind of realistically we probably felt our way into the game a little bit, but we got there, and I think towards the end of the half we started to show a bit of dominance as well, and I think we felt pretty good. Well, the vibe was pretty good going into the change room, and boys felt like there was definitely we could definitely take the game away from them.
Felt the momentum change. So it wasn't hair dryers and all sorts of stuff. It was calm, couple of little tweaks here. Right. And the main orator would be Warren, or would it be Gregor with the backs, or in attack, and Steve Tandy defence? Is it sort of regimented, 1 minute attack, 1 minute D, split, forwards, backs?
Yeah, I think when we first go in, we split. The subs and the players will have a little chat amongst themselves, see if talk to each other, if they've seen anything themselves. Set piece wise, all that kind of stuff, and then Gats will kind of take the room, then give it to Steve and then Gregor, and they'll say their piece before Gats will say something again, and then obviously Alan Wynn will bring in the side and say a few words as well then. So I suppose it's other boys will talk as well, but that's generally how the halftime will go. And
and then the game starts to change. We certainly won't go into Twittergate or Razzygate or Waterboygate or Refgate in any way, shape or form. There's no need to drag you into this furor, which, by the way, is just absolutely brilliant. I mean, if he is running a fake account, I was chatting to Tyndall today, and we were going, I bloody love Razzie Erasmus. How fun is that? He's putting a fake Twitter account. Well, allegedly. I've always got to add the word allegedly. So then, I can't remember. I scribbled it down earlier in my notes. I was really well prepared. I don't know if it was minute 63 or 64. You come on, bang, first line out straight to you? Like, did you take over calling the line outs and went,
No.
I got to get into this game? Or when it gets called to you, are you chuffed, right? Because you've just come on. What a brilliant opportunity to get into the game. And is that part of is that part of the thought process?
I probably wouldn't think like that. I'm kind of just next moment focused. So whatever the job, you still have a job if you're not being lifted in the line out and taking the ball. We were very much mauling a lot of the stuff towards the end of the game as well when I came on. So, you're going to have a big job regardless of whether you're taking the ball in the air or not. So just kind of, it obviously was a good way to get into the game. And it was just from that moment, it was just kind of to stay in each moment and not do anything stupid anyway.
No, just out of interest, who is calling the lineouts?
Maro.
So is it? I thought. Look, I'm 13, but I've watched a trillion lineouts and gone, that was a good lineout. That was quite good. And I went through the lineouts. I went through the game again today, and one great piece of climbing by Etzebeth forced Luke to throw right to the tip of Courtney's jump, just evaded him. Then there was one not straight. Then there was another in the second half. And just a question, no one got off the deck, and actually Etzebeth knocks it on. And we dodge a bullet there.
Yeah.
So are they just a brilliant line-out team, South Africa, which means if you are not syllable perfect, it can go wrong?
I think that's probably just something for us to look at. It was just a little bit of clarity and miscommunication on some of those ones, on two of the three anyway. So that's definitely something we've spoken about already, and hopefully we'll be able to fix, when someone didn't get off the deck. That was just a miscommunication in the call, and then the not straight was also a little bit of a miscommunication in the call. So there are two lineouts that are easily fixed, and hopefully we won't make the same mistake again this weekend.
Because they had a really, so when we went to the corner, obviously for the try, do you know they're going to go up and compete? I mean, I just understand the research, or is it still at that moment? Are you unsure because they send Mostert up? We hit the deck so much better because we know where we're going. They don't. They throw him up, bang, the tries come. It's such. So take it away from the Mostert, the Luke Cowan-Dickey tries. I know it's difficult to talk about that game and pick out particulars. But as a second row / back row hybrid expert, it's such a gamble to go to the skies on your own line. And I just wonder the sort of risk reward, how you see it.
It depends. I think a team like South Africa, because they have guys who are 6'9", 10, 11. I don't know how tall they are, but they're big humans. So if they're getting up in the air, it's putting serious pressure on our line out attacking. And a lot of the time in the past, they've stolen a lot of line outs in those areas as well. So it's worked for them. So why would they stop doing it? From that perspective, and I think from our perspective, we'll study a team, and if we feel that we can put enough pressure on to nip one or two of those lineouts, then maybe it's worth the risk, and then back your drill from stopping them all if you do lose it.
And I promise we're going to go back, but I just want the last 5-6 minutes, right? I mean, you find yourself, we didn't go 22-17 until Owen Farrell took about do you know how long you're supposed to take for a penalty?
A minute.
Yeah, do you know how long he took?
No, I don't.
Well, I timed it because I'm an anorak like that. And the second the penalty was given, Alan Wynne points to the post. So it's actually, you're supposed to start the clock from when you indicate you've kicked. It was 140 seconds. Sorry, 100 seconds. It was 1 minute 40. Yeah. Just street smart. So then we have a breather. We kick. We go 5 clear. I say we Lions. And then they're coming in the kitchen sink. I never won a Lions test. I can't imagine what it was like. I've watched it 4 or 5 times those last 3 minutes. There are people in red jerseys pushing people out of the way to make tackles. What's it like when you're that close and you just go, keep them out? It was unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, I think it's just an incredible team effort. In fairness, there was complete trust in every man beside each other to do a job. We've worked hard on our defence the last few weeks, and I think it's in moments like that it really matters. We stayed on our feet. We drove them backwards. We slowed down their ball to give lads time to get set and to get off the line. And it was just a really good defensive set. And credit to Morrow as well at the end to be able to get that rip at the death was a huge moment as well.
Could you have a beer? I know, look, you could sense people are saying, oh, the Lions weren't celebrating. And it's like, well, I was trying to tell people it's 3-test series. People do win the first test and lose. It does happen. And so you got to stay focused. Could you take time to celebrate what had been achieved, or was it literally, lads, you've just got to park this?
Well, certainly weren't able to in the change room, as no alcohol is allowed in South Africa at the moment. So not much of a choice there, unfortunately, for us. But I'm sure if we were allowed to have a few drinks in the change room, there certainly would have been. Because, as you said, it's an incredibly tough thing to do to win a Lions test, never mind series. So it's certainly would be something worth celebrating.
I mentioned earlier on, I love people who've sort of done it tough and not been first choice for years. So I sort of now go back and we get away from the weekend and go back. So you make, I hope my facts are all right. You make 4 appearances off the bench for the Leinster Academy and you're delivering pizza to make ends meet whilst you're coaching at a pretty good school called Blackrock College. I mean, why do you keep turning up?
Enjoyment, isn't it? And drive as well. Possibility of becoming a professional. You kind of set your hopes up, and that's what you're striving towards. So you're willing to kind of push the boat out a bit and go that extra mile just to give yourself an opportunity. And obviously I needed to make some cash on the side as well.
There wasn't Deliveroo in those days, though, was it?
No. It was just I worked for the pizza place I was working at,
and so you wanted to do it, but you also, I'm picking up that you just loved it, because I've played with a load of people who's like, oh, it's just a job, I hated it. Me, I still go down my local rugby club. I'm a complete training laws when it comes to touch rugby. I want to win every game I play in. You just love playing sport, not just rugby, but rugby was all the future.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was the sport I played in school, and I was handy enough at it, and then obviously got the opportunity with Leinster, and it kind of went from there. It probably wasn't until I got the opportunity in Leinster that I really seen a future in it. I probably didn't back myself to be good enough at that stage until I got that opportunity. And then once you start playing with those players that are supposed to be better than you start to kind of back yourself a bit more, and the competitiveness kicks in. I think that's something I enjoy more than anything, is an incredibly competitive person. I'll compete in anything. I get a buzz from competing, So it was a competition with myself and with everyone else to become like a professional athlete, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I went for. And thankfully,
where did the big break come?
It came in Scarlets at the end of the day. Like I was lucky to be kept on for Leinster for that extra year. Incredibly lucky, a lot of things went my way in terms of Mick McCarthy being called up to the Irish squad late, and then Kane Douglas deciding to leave Leinster on short notice, and then they were short for second rows, and all of a sudden I'm being told I'm being kept on for a couple of months. So I was lucky, and then I wasn't getting the nod again at the end of that year, and Scarlets needed a kind of, I would say, a training player.
Right.
And I just took a punt. I said maybe I'll get a chance to play in 1 or 2 games and prove myself, and took a punt on it.
No hesitation, leaving home, jumping on a plane or a boat.
There was a lot of hesitation. In my last year while I was doing the pizzas and coaching, I was actually studying a master's as well. So I was trying to. I eventually had to make the decision where I'd finish the master's or I'd take the punt. So it was very much. I didn't have much time to make the decision, but there was 1 or 2 sleepless nights on what to do, because it was a big risk, giving up a master's that I'd probably paid for half of it already, and then only had a year left in it. And I could have. That was going to be
What was the masters in?
Job. Real estate.
Have you finished it now?
No,
not yet. So that'll be to go back. So when you're making that decision, did you have someone to lean on and ask? And did
I did.
Someone pose a question that helped you make the decision? I'd sort of, my dad, when rugby first went pro, I got offered a really derogatory contract at Harlequins. I was a foreign exchange trader, and I was giving it up. I was just going to go and play at Roslyn Park with my mates. And my dad drove down and just said, give it 2 years. Don't be the bloke at the end of the bar. Don't be the bloke at the end of the bar who says I could have and should have. So literally I asked HSBC for a 2-year sabbatical and said, look, I'm going to move club. I'm going to go to Leicester. If I haven't played for rugby for England in 2 years, I'll come back. Did you have anyone that just helped?
Yeah. I certainly lean like both my parents, my mum and my dad, and they both had different views, to be honest with you. I think my mum was probably a bit unsure of whether to do it or not. She was a bit sick of seeing the continuous highs and lows of will I won't be in the squad, the constant injuries, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of lows that go with it in terms of, especially in my 4 or 5 years with Leinster. I had a lot of injuries, and I wasn't getting selected a lot. So I'm sure I lived at home for my last year as well. So they've probably seen a lot more of the mood swings than they would have usually seen. So I think she probably would have been happy if I stayed on with the Masters. And then, I think between herself and my dad, they eventually kind of gave me that little bit of a push just to say, if you really want to, just have one more crack at it. And
it's something you picked up on that. I had such a tough year in '99, my groin. So you might not want to talk about it, or you might be comfortable talking about it. When you say highs and lows, injuries, did you find it really tough in that time to, not necessarily to motivate, but were there times you're just thinking, what am I doing? I just don't want to talk to anyone about this.
Yeah, there was a good few times, I think. Obviously, my second year in the academy, I was out for a 13-14 month spell with my groin, coincidentally. And I think there was certainly a lot of days there where it was pretty low. I remember having conversations with some of my mates, being like, I was close to just talking about packing it in, whether I could keep it up, because there was no light at the end of the tunnel. It was just constant, like almost getting there and then being set back by 6 or 7 weeks, and then same thing happened again. So yeah, for sure, I think there's days you just kind of lock yourself in the room and kind of question, have you just wasted the last few years of putting everything, your heart and soul, into trying to become a rugby player, and then all of a sudden you're constantly injured. There's no sign of you ever even getting a cap at that point and stuff like that. So yeah, I think most rugby players will have those moments within their career. There will be a small minority that don't ever have those dark days, but I think that's part of the sport, and it's certainly what makes you appreciate being injury free more, and appreciate the sport more and enjoy it more. And I think it certainly made me a better player as well.
Well, I was just going to follow up with that, because it's obviously it's easy to make the story fit the facts, or the facts fit the story. I'm never quite sure which way around it is, but you genuinely sort of look back on that now and go, yeah, in a strange way, it's made you a better player.
Yeah, I think so, for sure, because mentally it's you have to pick yourself up so many times, and you can always think back to that time of how frustrated you were and be like, right, you can enjoy the game a lot more, and you can you learn from it, and you use it as kind of motivation as well.
Yeah.
It's only an injury at the end of the day, but like a lot of people have gone through a lot worse. So you always know that it's just, if you're in the game to enjoy it, so why not enjoy it and make the most of it.
You start flying at the Scarlets, you player of the season, whatever, win trophies, and then you think, right, you know what, I actually quite fancy international rugby, so I need to get home. You've been at Leinster. It's like being at Tottenham and going to Arsenal. You can't be at Leinster and then off down the road to Munster. So how come you ended up at Munster?
It's a bit different when you've been told you're not wanted, I suppose.
Very, very true.
It was no Leinster didn't come knocking, and it was Munster who came knocking first, and it was an opportunity, you know, to play for my country, so I couldn't really turn it down at the time. And you know, I wish at the time I could have stayed at Scarlets and played for Ireland, because I was loving my time there. And I still absolutely would say that I love my time at Scarlets. But you know, since I've moved to Munster, it's been it's completely different kind of atmosphere in the place, but I absolutely love it as well. You know, we're certainly competing in every competition we enter. We're thereabouts. Certainly have had some low days there in terms of losses, particularly to Leinster. But you know, I think that's just part of it, and you know, I love my time there, and hopefully I'll be staying there for another little while.
And then you get international rugby. You make a little bit of history. You win a series in Australia. Because of the stuff you'd been through, hit the ground running at international level. No self-doubt, or needed 3 or 4 tests. Was there a particular moment where you've turned over Michael Hooper, or you've run down the wing at the Aviva Stadium where you've thought, you know what, this pizza delivery kid can play?
No, I don't. I think my first couple of camps with Ireland, I certainly struggled, just in terms of kind of probably didn't know if, again, you're probably doubting yourself a little bit. I hadn't played at that level before. My first game, I thought it was incredibly quick. I was blowing. I was kind of doubting myself, like, geez, this is a lot tougher than I was expecting, all that kind of stuff. So it probably wasn't, you know, I don't know when, probably wasn't until the World Cup where I felt like I probably had played 1 or 2 good games in the World Cup, and I was like, oh, okay, I can hold my own here. And I felt like I was pushing to be involved a bit more. And it was probably from that point on, then I kind of felt like I had a chance to push into the starting 15 for Ireland. But then again, I was still struggling for the next year to get into the 2023. So
you keep having these struggles and these battles and these knocks. You keep turning up like Donkey from Shrek. Pick me. You're still there. So take us to Lions selection day. Where were you, and were you outside chance? Were you thinking, if this keeper doesn't pick me, he's getting it? Or were you just everything crossed?
Yeah, like it wasn't until after the Six Nations it probably started to become a thought. It was probably all the lads in Munster and stuff putting it in my head more than anything. And you know, you can't hide away from the media on social media and stuff. You're constantly tagged and things and stuff. So I was hopeful that there was a chance of being selected. We had a team run that morning, went for coffee afterwards. The team announcement started at 12. We were still outside the coffee place. I didn't know whether I was going to watch it there or with the lads or what I was going to do. And then I decided that I wanted to watch it with my missus back home. So I got in the car and I was nip and tuck in terms of getting back home for the actual announcement. But thankfully they were running late. Got in the house. My missus was panicking. She was cleaning the house from top to bottom and she was so nervous. And then the two of us just sat down and waited patiently. And I think when they started and Jason started announcing the team, that's when I got incredibly nervous. My stomach turned and I was like, oh, I don't know if it's going to happen. And you know, his first name on the forwards list, thankfully, and I think it's just all hitting me then at once, and we certainly enjoyed that moment.
And then you find yourself, you know, there's obviously some wonderful players from across the Four Nations, but particularly from, let's say, last weekend. You know, talk to me, a couple of people, 3 people to sort of talk about. Alan Wynne-Jones, sort of your thoughts on him, and then 2 guys who probably vied for. I mean, no one likes to talk about a man of the match in the Lions Test win because it's a collective effort. But Maro and Courtney, monstrous games out there. That these sorts of characters, what you've learned from them, how you enjoy their company.
Yeah, I think Alan Wynne, I knew, you know, he's a great, incredible leader. it's his work ethic that probably shocked me the most, especially on the training field. He's incredibly energetic. He's probably one of the toughest trainers out there. Everyone questions his age all the time, but you certainly wouldn't pick him out of the pack for being the oldest on the squad. You'd probably pick him for being one of the youngest with the way he trains and gets about his work and stuff. So that's been incredibly impressive from my point of view. I think seeing how he goes about his business, he's all over he's just a true professional, and he is a great leader, and I think that's probably what I've been most impressed with. Certainly his work ethic, and I suppose he wouldn't be where he is if he didn't have that, that's for sure. So yeah, that'd be Alan Wynne. And then Courtney's an incredibly chill bloke. He's a lot bigger than I was expecting.
Really?
Yeah, he's a big boy, and but yeah, he's really chilled, and I think he's an incredible player. I think he's shown that since he's come on. He hits hard, and he's incredibly skillful. Dancing feet on him, and yeah, he's been really impressive. And then Mauro, same as Alan Wynne, constantly around the computers, constantly working. He's almost coaching us sometimes, with his inputs, and he takes control over that line out really well. And he's probably shown in that game how much of a nuisance he can be around the field as well. It's an incredible game. So yeah, certainly learned a lot from these guys in terms of how they go about their business, how they train, all that kind of stuff. But I've been really impressed with them, I'll say.
And so away from rugby, unexpected friendships. I mean, when I first went on my first tour, to come back as one of Scott Quinnell's best mates, I still slightly freaks me out, because I'm a sort of Blackburn posh kid, private school, worked in the city, SQ. We're physically so different, background so different. But any friendships that you've thought, I just never thought I'd be his mate?
A lot of the English boys, in fairness, I didn't. I'm not saying I didn't really know what to expect with them, but I think we've all gotten on incredibly well. A lot of us, most of us, are up in Rada's room every night, just sitting back, having a cup of tea and just chatting away, and playing a bit of golf with them, all that kind of stuff. So gone on really well with them. I obviously know a lot of the Welsh boys, so that was pretty easy for me. I'm constantly playing cards with them and stuff like that. So but yeah, just in fairness, as a group, I've gotten on incredibly well with most people in here. It'll be hard to pick out one or two.
Yeah, no, they're amazing things, and I keep telling when people should give their arms to sort of be part of one. So you're 12 days to go. 1-0. Look, I've sort of got to ask the really obvious question: hopes and aspirations for this week on a personal level. What you hope, how you hope the next 10, 12 days play out?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, it'd be silly for me to expect to be starting going into this next game with how well the boys played. So a realistic hope for me would be to be involved again in some way. Hopefully, I'll get a decent spell if I am on the bench, and just have some kind of impact in the game and hopefully come away with a win. We'd love to put the series away this weekend. That'd be incredible, and then hopefully go from there. But our focus is obviously going to be on Saturday, and I think we're certainly confident that we can do it again, and fingers crossed we can.
Well, self-confessed Tadburn fan for ages, so you'd be wondering why on earth I was screaming at you Sharks game, screaming at you, because I had you at 80-1 for a hat trick, right? And you had 2, and you ran a reverse angle. You just went a bit early, and it was like, he's in for his 3. I don't know if you remember the time he just got stopped short. I was like, 80-1, I've got him for a hat trick. No one picks a back row for a hat trick. I thought, against these fellas, he's going to waltz in. So look, it's been going magnificently well for you.
Yes.
really, the guys, everyone's back home loving what's going on. So we wish you all the very best. I've taken up far too much of your time. And I wish you all the very best for the next 2 weeks. And thanks so much for spending what was supposed to be 15 minutes, 40 minutes talking about stuff. Cheers, Doug.
Cheers, thank you.
Hello, my friend. Thank you. Another cracking guest. I hope you agree. What a lovely bloke. I'm such a huge fan of players who just don't take no for an answer and just keep picking themselves up off the floor, go through some tough times, some real self-doubt, and yet find a way to get to the top. I find they make the best players. I find they make the players you really want in a tight test series, which is exactly what this is. And how humble to sort of the party line says, I hope to be part of the 23. I mean, it'd be extraordinary to see him not selected in the next test, and hopefully for the final one, get the job done this weekend and maybe get a start in the third. And what a journey that would have been, from pizza delivery boy to Lions victory delivery fella, something like that. Anyway, you know what I mean. Thanks for listening. Please don't forget to follow on the usual channels, rate, review, subscribe, and they haven't planted a flag on top of Everest. I can never remember what base camp. They've left base camp. They're probably camping at about 25,000 feet. With one more push to go to write their names in history. I'll see you next week.